Hello everyone, welcome to Chapter 3 of the 4-part video series where we question the efficacy of governmental assistance programs in the United States. In Chapter 2, we introduced and discussed SNAP, Medicaid, and TANF, 3 common governmental assistance programs. In Chapter 3, we're going to question their efficacy. If any of this sounds unfamiliar, my name is Sarah Nold, and you should watch the preliminary introduction video linked in the top right corner. If at any point in the video you find yourself questioning the credibility of my statements or just wondering exactly what I said, there will be a transcript linked in the description below, accessible via Google Docs. I encourage you to approach all these chapters with an open mind and to be mindful of any emerging bias, curiosity, or prejudice. Feel free to leave any civil, constructive comments or questions below. Alright, here we go. In the last video, we went over the basic structure, funding, and eligibility requirements for SNAP, Medicaid, and TANF. While all these programs provide vital assistance that allows citizens to focus their earnings elsewhere and stay afloat, there's always room for improvement. During the time that this video is being produced, SNAP benefits in the United States are being cut. So, when talking about SNAP, I've decided to highlight how helpful SNAP is rather than commenting on the common critiques. According to economist John Creamer, in 2019, governmental assistance helped lift 23.4 million people out of official poverty. Utilizing data that includes the Supplemental Poverty Measure, or SPM, can show how taxes and non-cash governmental assistance can help those in poverty. SPM includes income and payroll taxes, tax credits, stimulus payments, and other non-cash governmental assistance programs like SNAP. In 2020, using the SPM, 46 million people were lifted out of poverty. Since the 1960s, SNAP has been providing nutritional assistance that has helped combat severe hunger and malnutrition in low-income communities in the United States permanently and temporarily. Additionally, SNAP benefits have always been an effective economic stimulus, with nearly 78% of SNAP benefits being redeemed within 2 weeks and 96% within the month. With most low-income families spending their income on daily needs, all SNAP money received is used to help stimulate the economy, rather than the commonly perceived opposite. Lastly, 87% of SNAP participants live in a household with at least one child, one disabled individual, or elderly individual. With 45% of SNAP beneficiaries being children, and 1 in 10 children being food insecure, it is extremely important to think of the family rather than the individual when conceptualizing SNAP. However, with SNAP benefits requiring an extremely low income, families are either continually on and off SNAP, which does nothing to improve their state of living, or they have little incentive to work because they risk losing significant benefits if they gain more income. This goes for many governmental assistance programs, not just SNAP. Like SNAP, Medicaid has helped more than 76 million Americans access healthcare that otherwise would not be accessible to them due to their income. Medicaid is vital to the United States healthcare system. However, it is not without its flaws. One major issue with Medicaid are income limits initiated by states. According to the American Medical Association, research demonstrates that low Medicaid reimbursement rates significantly affects a physician's ability to accept new Medicaid patients. Physicians have a responsibility to provide care for everyone in need. However, it can be difficult if they lose money on the care that they provide. Thus, with less available physicians, Medicaid recipients may have minimal access to care with their newfound coverage. Medicaid also has strict limits on who can and cannot receive Medicaid benefits. According to Rose Chu and others at the Office of Healthy Policy, in January 2012, 17 states had income limits for parents between 50 and 99% of the FPL, and 18 states and the District of Columbia had income limits for parents with incomes at 100% of the FPL or greater. And 18 states in the District of Columbia had income limits for parents with incomes at 100% of the FPL or greater. These limits have also been known to include asset limits like cash, bank balances, stocks, and bonds as well. These limits notoriously limit access to necessary health care for those whose jobs do not offer health insurance or who cannot afford it on their own. Finally, TANF seems to be the most flawed system. TANF was enacted in 1996 to replace Aid to Families with Dependent Children, AFDC, but has alleviated poverty and hardship far less than AFDC ever did. Additionally, TANF has negatively affected Black women and families far more than it has others. According to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, throughout the history of cash assistance, many policymakers and public figures have used the same racist justifications and stereotypes to question Black women's reproductive choices, coerce Black women to work in exploitive conditions, and control, deride, and punish Black women who receive cash assistance. TANF's design perpetuated these attitudes and in some ways reinforced them, such as through stricter work requirements and expanded state control over program rules. Presidential rhetoric in the 1980s that linked poverty to a cultural pathology within Black women and communities de-influenced a public drive to end poverty. This convoluted rhetoric led to the creation of covertly discriminatory programs rooted in racism like TANF. TANF has never lived up to its promise of moving families out of poverty through work. Collectively, states only spent 10% of TANF funds on work, education, and training to connect parents to jobs, with little focus on lifting families up from poverty. Many people who leave TANF do so due to time limits or sanctions enacted against barriers to work, like fleeing domestic violence, low education, and limited experience. In summary, while all these programs have historically and are currently helping millions of people, they could be helping more. Not only could they be helping more, but they could help more people for longer, with longer terms of care created by wider limits of eligibility. These programs could genuinely help uplift people out of poverty, keep them out of poverty, and improve their lives. And that is what we will talk about in the next video. If you found this information useful, let me know by liking the video. I look forward to hearing what you think in the comments section below. And in the next video, we'll review some proposed solutions to lackluster governmental assistance programming. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.